Welcome, Krusty Carl here today. We're going to do a quick little video on one of the skilled trades in Ontario called refrigeration and air conditioning. So we have an apprentice with some interest in the refrigeration and air conditioning, and I have my little mouse over to the left, and we're going to look at some of the things that need to be done and have to be done and will get done if you would like to be an apprentice in Ontario. Up at the top of my slide, you can see STOW, Skilled Trades Ontario, and the skilledtradesontario.ca is their website. If you're looking for a lot more information and a lot better information, of course, but just a little recognition here on getting into the refrigeration and air conditioning trade. Our trade is called, is labeled 3138. For the commercial aspect of the refrigeration and air conditioning. So that's one part of the commercial refrigeration and air conditioning trade as 3138. We also have a residential trade in refrigeration and air conditioning called 313D. So 313A is a recognized red seal trade, which means it's recognized anywhere in Canada. And 313D is not a red seal license, so it's not recognized in any other provinces once you receive and complete your apprenticeship in refrigeration and air conditioning. So let's look at what's next to become an apprentice and what employers are looking for. So you have to find an employer willing to sign a new apprentice. And again, there's no such thing as a helper. So don't let anyone tell you that you could be hired as a helper. So what is an employer looking for in a prospective apprentice? Obviously, as you can see, a clean driving abstract, because most of these companies are service related in refrigeration and air conditioning in Ontario. So obviously they need you to be able to drive their equipment, drive their vehicles to certain job sites. And then obviously sometimes they need to bond you for sensitive environments like banks, etc. So casinos and work being performed in there. So those are other things that employers will look at. As far as education is concerned, as we go down here farther, a minimum grade 10 high school education is required to get into the refrigeration trade. Other, like our union, Local 787, would maybe require a higher level of education, and that obviously you'd have to go to their website for any more information on that. So training, as far as an employer is concerned, in anything is helpful to landing an apprentice. Electrical, anything in a post-secondary course would be very helpful towards landing an apprentice with a prospective employer. So, and again, it could sometimes, depending upon what the training is, could lower the amount of hours towards completion of your apprenticeship. Most of the refrigeration and air conditioning folks have a gas fitter 3 or higher, so it's always a good little license to have in your back pocket is the ability to work on gas appliances in our trade, so that obviously we have a lot of our equipment that will have both aspects, heating and air conditioning in them, so it's always nice to be able to have both of those in your back pocket. And anytime, if you have any experience in any other trade, that sometimes will also lower your hours of completion towards your refrigeration air conditioning apprenticeship. At the college, they have a program called 180 HVAC Techniques, and it's a program at the college which is called a year program, post-secondary, but it's basically 8 months of training, and it's very helpful in becoming an apprentice because what it will do is help you with some sheet metal, help you with some heating, get your G3 licenses, and obviously go through the level 1 training of refrigeration and air conditioning. So it's very helpful, and obviously the employers would look at that and think that, yeah, okay, you have some experience and you know what's going on in the trade with the basics. So there's a good start to understanding the refrigeration air conditioning trade. So if by chance you seem to find an employer, okay, let's go, let's get started. So what your employer and yourself then will do is register you with a contract, a legal binding document stating your apprenticeship rate, stating your hours with the STO, and obviously that will begin the journey of your apprentice. And then after some time in the trade, working with an employer under a mechanic, you will be set up to go to trade school at level 1 in one of the many schools that are certified to teach refrigeration and air conditioning. So, starting with number of hours towards refrigeration and air conditioning apprenticeship, you can see that it's 8,000 to 9,000 hours of apprenticeship training. That's again depending upon the STO contract that you are put with. And obviously when you go to trade school, there's 3 levels of training, and that will equal approximately 720 hours of training in school, and that will be reduced from your 9,000 hours of apprenticeship in the trade. So as it states here, first you start working out with a mechanic for about a year and get in about 2,000 hours under your belt, and then you're going to go to school. And as you start as an apprentice, you will probably be in a pay rate of 50% of the journey person's wage. Now these aren't cut in stone. I think you'd have to really look at finding the actual numbers of the percentage of pay rate. And it will obviously progress as you get more time in the trade towards your completion. So that obviously, these numbers I have here are just basically some guidance on what to expect within your pay rate and pay band. So you're going to go to level 1 training at the college or the union, and then of course after 8 weeks of training, 30 hours a week, you're going to obviously go back to work with your employer. What's really interesting about apprenticeship training in Ontario, when you're at school, you will get employment insurance, you will get travel expenses, so it's a real bonus to obviously landing an apprenticeship at any of the employers in refrigeration and air conditioning. So when you're back to work, 2,000 hours approximately, it's time for your second level of school, and that'll be called level 2, and we would call it intermediate, and you can see it's in brackets, and that's another 8 weeks of training. Back to work after your 8 weeks, and again 2,000 hours or so. Pay percentages are increasing as you're longer with these companies, and obviously eventually you'll get to the final training, level 3 training, another 8 weeks of training, and typically after that you can see they have completed typically their hours of their contract, and they're ready to write their CFQ or their certificate of qualification for refrigeration and air conditioning. And then obviously when you complete that, you will become a licensed journey person in Ontario with a 313A or 313D license. I hope this has helped a bit towards understanding a bit of the apprenticeship system and the apprenticeship refrigeration air conditioning. Have a good day.